Okay, so I'm super excited about this initiation journey because it's becoming more like a part art piece, musical journey, part online course, and sort of taking everybody through essentially their own individual rite of passage. And, I've been really doing a lot of, my own thinking around mother and mothering. And it's crazy that the cervix, this work self-cervix, has never integrated the mother because I couldn't really bring these aspects together. I didn't know how they worked. But what I got recently was, when we are born, I did a survey on Instagram, and most people didn't see their mother growing up loving herself. Most people, I think it was like 80%, didn't have a mother who really embodied self-love, and also they didn't witness their mother receiving lots of physical touch. So as young girls, we grow up and we're looking, how do I become a woman? What is it to be a woman? What is this thing about sex? What is my body like? So we're looking at the mother. And, I think it's really different now. There's a whole lot of like way more sort of understanding around this, for the babies coming through now. But certainly for my generation, my mum, bless her, she would be very critical of her body, and I didn't see her receiving a lot of holding and touch, and there was a lot of repression around sex and sexual themes. And so, as a young person, and I'm talking about a teenager coming through, like I was looking for information in all the wrong places and just getting all the wrong, just not very empowering information. So, the stuff that you get at school is like really not pleasure focused at all. It's more like fear based. And then, I was a very sexual kid. And so I was kind of always looking for information. And yeah, I got myself in a little bit of trouble, which I won't go into, but it occurred to me that unless there's a new imprint of mother and like the strong holding of mother, then the lover comes through a little confused and distorted. And then as adults, we've got to try and stumble our way through. And then suddenly there's somebody like me saying, hey, have a cervical orgasm. But we're all kind of locked and held and confused. And we've got our mother's trauma and we've got our grandmother's trauma and all sitting in our bodies. So we have to imprint and understand what is this kind of mother sense. It's not personal. It's not about becoming a mother, or it's not about even about your mother. It's about what does this archetype represent in the body, the planet, like this holding, and finding a way to explore that through these journeys. This is in module 1, we start to embody these qualities and find what this protective, nurturing foundation, because when that is put in place, then there's like the freedom for the lover to emerge. So the lover is, like you could say, is representative through the central channel, through the orgasmic channel. So this has to be completely open and free for cervical orgasm to occur. So if we're sort of locked and stuck and feeling scared and like not, really holding ourselves in our sexual interactions, we can actually just inhibit and limit how much freedom and how much energetic flow we allow. So that's the first piece. And then after like embodying this strength and having this like earthy presence within us, then we move through into awakening the inner lover. And so this is kind of would be more like the younger representation of the lover and exploration. And this is really getting that you are the source of your pleasure, like you are the source of it all. And so in this module, awakening the inner lover, it's like, how do we start to like always, no matter who we're with, how do we always find and own the pleasure within us? We're so often like just neck up, and this is really about going down into the body and learning and relearning and awakening these qualities within. So that's where the breath work journey is in that module. And I love it. It goes through like remembering like way back, like, pre-Roman Empire, Mediterranean, like I could just imagine all these like wise wise women, priestesses, like drumming, like mystical, like, you know, super powerful, you know, kind of, back then it was like full on matriarchal cultures, full on goddess worship, you know. And then there was a real break in history where that changed. So we got to like, I think anybody exploring this work, especially something as deep as the cervix, we must have some kind of, you know, memory, some kind of, we must have some understanding that more is possible, and that like inside of our body is this alchemical potential for like, you know, meeting the goddess through our bodies. So then after kind of the lover emerges in this safe space, then we move into opening up the sacred intimate. And this is the centers of the body that need to kind of start to awaken for these orgasmic states and these spiritual states of orgasm to occur. So around these kind of guides, there's like, you know, Liz Addison is providing the music, which is super exciting. And we're also integrating with dance, you know, movement. Like, it's all very well kind of thinking about it and then kind of feeling it, but then so much of this is like, how do we walk it through the world? How do we like put it into the bodies and actually make it physical, make it real? And then the last module, it's like, oh my God, I've got all this power in me. I'm like this, whoo, like I know what's possible and I know I have this. Now, what am I going to do in the world? Like, how am I going to deal with lovers and my partner, or like wherever, whatever your situation is? You know, it's like so intimidating then to go on Tinder and be like, what am I going to say to, you know, to the average partner about like my cervix and, you know, cervical orgasm and the things that I want to experience and the kind of safe containers I want to create? You know, it takes a little bit of confidence and it takes some tools to know how to articulate that. So that's when we go in the last module. So it is this kind of rite of passage journey, like right back to like the first pass of the cervix, which is mother, you know, first contact to the cervix, all the way through to like young lover, to like sacred intimate. And then we can play. Once you've got all that in, then we can play. So that is the initiation journey. So yeah, it's a soulful, musical, you know what I like about the cervix is like, we can't just go like, cervix. You know, cervix doesn't like that. Cervix doesn't want you to just be like, oh, I'm just going to like go for it. Like, hurry up, let's get to the orgasm. You know, let's get to, you know, everybody's very so like orgasm focused. Like it's all about the orgasm. And that is very like typical of our current culture. It's like instant gratification. I don't want to do the rest, just show me the good bits. But this work, self-cervix, this is an awakening journey. This is a personal development journey. And being sexual with the cervix is, you know, like being a cat. I describe it like a cat. You kind of like have to move around the edges and kind of seduce the cervix. So we spend a lot of time creating the conditions before we even touch the cervix. And because cervical orgasm and cervical awakening is multi-layered, it's so much more than just touching the button of the cervix and like wham presto. It's like tied into layers and layers of our psychic self, spiritual self, physical self, mental self. So we're going deep onto all those layers, and that's self-cervix.